Two more people charged in a historic bourbon theft had their court appearances this morning.
Coming up, we'll tell you about a cleanup project in Georgetown where volunteers are pulling trash out of Elkhorn Creek.
How this woman ended up losing $1 million in a scam that's targeting elderly victims. What you need to know coming up.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good afternoon. Sam, Dick, and Amber Philpott reporting. Two more suspects accused of being involved in the theft of some rare Kentucky bourbon answered to those charges in court this morning.
State police say Mark Searcy and Dusty Atkins were part of an alleged crime ring that stole more than $100,000 worth of bourbon from the Buffalo Trace and Wild Turkey distilleries. As WKYT's Victor Puente reports, 9 of the 10 people involved have now been indicted. It's our top story at 5:30.
Two of the people accused of helping to steal and sell that bourbon were arraigned this morning in Franklin County. That makes 9 of the 10 people charged in this case who've been to court. Today was the arraignment for Mark Searcy, a former Wild Turkey employee who's accused of helping Gilbert Kurtzinger steal barrels of bourbon from the distillery. A second man, Dustin Atkins, was also arraigned today. Indictments say Atkins knew Kurtzinger through softball and sold several barrels. Police say Kurtzinger was the ringleader of a group accused of stealing roughly $100,000 worth of bourbon from Buffalo Trace and Wild Turkey distilleries. That included cases of rare Pappy Van Winkle bourbon. Kurtzinger and 4 others, including his wife, Julie Kurtzinger, were arraigned last week. At this morning's arraignments, Searcy and Atkins' attorneys entered not guilty pleas for them, and neither wanted to comment on the charges.
All right, now he's out of law right now. Okay, just make sure that you have no violations while you're out of law. Okay.
2 of the people who were indicted have already pleaded guilty. Ronnie Hubbard and Michael Sean Ballard pled to criminal conspiracy to receiving stolen property over $10,000. In Franklin County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Former Buffalo Trace security guard Leslie Wright was scheduled to be arraigned today, but her attorney couldn't make it. She's accused of ignoring thefts that happened under her watch. Well, our active weather pattern continues as we head into the weekend with hot and humid conditions and chances for rain each and every day.
Meteorologist Jim Caldwell's tracking the forecast for your weekend on the First Alert Defender. Hi, Jim.
Hello, guys, and we will be tracking more showers and thunderstorms throughout the afternoon and evening, and especially into your Saturday and Sunday. Here in Lexington, though, it's quiet right now. We did have a shower pass by a little bit earlier, but now you're just looking at some of the cloud cover and a little bit of blue sky also trying to mix in as well. Maybe another passing shower or two, but the later it gets, the better our chances to go rain-free for the rest of the evening will become. Right now, we're sitting at 80 degrees out at the airport, never impacted by that passing shower out where the official thermometer is, so that's why we're still at 80 degrees here, because that shower passed just beside it. Funny how it works sometimes. Well, parts of Fayette County certainly got down into the low 70s. Showers and thunderstorms continue out to our east. None of these are what you would consider strong, but they certainly have some stronger characteristics like heavy rain, some gusty winds, and of course loads of lightning right over Salyersville, up toward Moorhead now, and all the way now out into southern Ohio and into West Virginia. And now for the folks down in southeastern Kentucky, we're tracking a very heavy one right over Harlan County with more lightning showing up throughout that area. We'll be having a few more of these in our area during the day tomorrow and better chances Sunday. I'll track those chances coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Jim. We begin our county-by-county coverage here in Bullitt County, where a man was arrested after police say he shot a woman twice back in May of 2014 near the Knob Creek gun range. DeAndre Lewis McElroy is charged with murder in the death of Danisha McStoots. The Bullitt County Sheriff's Department said McElroy poured an acid-type cleaner over McStoots in an attempt to cover up DNA evidence. They also say the two had some type of relationship, but the extent of that relationship is under investigation. A Litchfield woman is offering a $5,000 reward for anyone with information that can help police find the person who ran her car off the road. Back in March, Alana Hale was driving to her daughter's house, passing over Salt River Road, when she said a white car speeding toward her swerved into her lane.
It was just a second that I had. I swerved quickly to the left into their lane, and they still caught my back rear passenger wheel and knocked the tire totally off the rim.
Hale's car tumbled into the woods as the car that hit her kept going. It was a passerby who saved her life when he spotted the smoke above the woods and pulled hail from the car that then blew up in flames just minutes after that. Georgetown police are asking for your help after a theft at a cemetery. They say the caretaker at Georgetown Cemetery contacted them and said someone took a bronze plaque off the Confederate monument. This is a closer look at the plaque that was taken. At this point, police are not sure when the theft happened. There was no other damage to the structure. Police have contacted metal dealers in the area to be on the lookout for this piece.
Volunteers from the Bluegrass Conservancy and Bluegrass Green Source are cleaning up a 1-mile stretch of the Elkhorn Creek in Georgetown. About 20 volunteers are removing tires, toys, and other debris. WKYT's Mike Linden talked to the property owner, who says most of the time he cleans up the 100-acre farm on his own.
For the second year in a row, volunteers are cleaning up a 1-mile stretch of Elkhorn Creek in Georgetown.
We've gotten a lot of tires, some washing machine parts, and a lot of big pieces of litter.
Warren says trash and debris from Lexington travels downstream into Elkhorn Creek. The 20 volunteers from the Bluegrass Conservancy and Bluegrass Green Source are here to remove as much as they can of it.
There is no other option when you think about it. Our creeks must be clean and have clean water in them.
Riddle says that during heavy rain earlier this season, that everywhere where I'm standing would be covered in several feet of water. And he says when those floodwaters recede back into the creek, all that's left behind on his farmland is trash and debris.
Bottles and cans, logs, toys, scattered all over my fields because the floodwaters carry it to the far reaches of the farm.
Volunteers say it's not only a learning experience for adults, but for future generations of people looking to make a difference.
I think it was great for them to see, all the trash and to think about where it came from, why it would be down a stream.
In Scott County, Mike Linden, WKYT.
Well, the folks with Bluegrass Green Source say all of the trash taken from the creek will be recycled or disposed of safely.
The con artists do not stop. The lure of big money is just too hard to resist. It's a dangerous combination that has resulted in thousands of victims in this country losing their life savings.
Every letter says, "You are a winner."
Thousands of letters arrived at Agnes Ferrara's home. She had 6,000 pieces of mail, to be exact, filling 4 boxes.
But I still didn't believe it. I mean, the way they're all telling me, you won.
Despite her gut instincts, one letter claiming she won $108 million stood out.
So initial contact is you've won the lottery, now you have to pay us fees in order to get the money.
That was the case with this letter, so Agnes sent money. In fact, she sent hundreds of thousands of dollars, all in an effort to win the jackpot. The con men called Agnes every day.
They will entrench themselves into your life. They'll know you personally. They'll know about your family members.
Postal inspectors say this is all part of the strategy.
They want to isolate you, become part of your inner circle, and then scam you out of your life savings.
In all, Agnes lost almost $1 million. Inspectors say there are ways to spot a foreign lottery scam solicitation.
They spell checks, C-H-E-Q-U-E. So some stuff like that will be a little different. The dollar sign, which we're accustomed to, being in the front, maybe in the back.
The biggest red flag is no legitimate lottery will ever ask for money up front.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
10 days after the primary election, the race for governor is finally set.
And the NAACP and Lexington police are talking safety. Our Bill Bryant has the details in the bottom line.
Good evening. The fall race for Kentucky governor is now set, and for the first time, both of the major party nominees are from Louisville. James Comer conceded the Republican race this morning after yesterday's recanvass failed to change Matt Bevin's 83-vote victory in the primary. Bevin appeared with the rest of the Republican ticket at the state GOP headquarters in Frankfort today, and he promised to work hard for victory in the fall. Bevin, who first came onto the political stage last year when he challenged Mitch McConnell, for his party's nomination in the Senate race, is now trying to unify the party. The Democratic nominee is Jack Conway. Polling just before the primary showed Conway with an advantage over each of the Republican candidates. There will be a showdown in Washington this weekend. Of course, U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell is trying to win an extension of the Patriot Act, including the provision that allows the National Security Agency to collect and keep phone records, calling it an invasion of privacy. His fellow Kentucky senator and candidate for president Rand Paul is leading the opposition. The Senate will have a rare special session Sunday. A group that supports Paul has started a TV ad that draws attention to that vote. The president of the Lexington chapter of the NAACP and the city's police chief have forged a friendship that they hope is helpful to the community. William Saunders and Mark Barnard talked about mutual respect on this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers.
There's an influx of people coming in. The city's getting bigger. We're starting to look a little bit like the big cities now, but overall it's still a safe place. It's a nice place to raise kids, and with the police department that we have and the chief that we have in place, I think it's going to be just fine.
Also in Kentucky Newsmakers, Georgetown Mayor Tom Prather talks about his growing city. To see the full program, you can set your DVR or catch it tomorrow morning at 6. And that is Sunday morning at 6 on WKYT, Sunday at 6, or on its repeat Sunday at 10 on the CW Lexington. There will be more about the indictment and the Capitol Hill reaction to former U.S. Speaker of the House Dennis Hastert on the CBS Evening News. Hastert, who was the Republican House leader from 1999 to 2008, is accused of paying money to keep somebody silent and then lying about it to the FBI. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
A benefit concert is planned to help 3 Central Kentucky students raise money for an amazing opportunity.
3 young singers from Ferristown Middle School auditioned and were selected for the International Honors Performance Series at Carnegie Hall in New York City. A benefit concert to help raise money is being planned in Berea at the Madison Southern High Auditorium at 2 for June 7th. Local bands who would like to participate just need to call the choir director at Ferristown Middle School.